Bitcoin treasuries added over $500 million worth of Bitcoin in the past 30 days per Bitcoin treasuries. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP family. Much love to you guys as always for showing tremendous amount of love. Let's take a look at what's happening as of November 16th, as we are going, of course, into Sunday morning. You could see for yourself, we are seeing a nice bounce for the broader market. You could see a lot of coins are up. But again, if we kind of zoom out and take a look at what has been happening over the past few days, market has been in a downward trajectory, even though we're seeing a lot of green across the board. Once again, the catalyst behind this is mainly Bitcoin dominance, because again, as far as Bitcoin is concerned, Bitcoin's not showing any sort of like extraordinary price action for us to be like, wow, it's mainly Bitcoin. No, it's mainly right now the Bitcoin dominance that is behind this move. But as far as XRP price is concerned right now, $2.26, up about 0.5% on the USD side of things, up 0.3% on the Bitcoin side of things, with the market cap at about $135.8 billion dollars, and the 24-hour trading volume at about 3 billion. As always, just a quick disclaimer, anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So Bitcoin's quarter 4 is already, the worst that it has been. Obviously, even if you're comparing it to 2022 and 2019, which were bear markets for the crypto market. But again, there's a lot of people, looking at this completely differently. I mentioned this in my market analysis update as well. I want you guys to keep in mind that there's still about a month and a half left till the year of 2025 comes to an end. So a lot can still end up happening. Q4 could still end up closing on a positive note, but Bitcoin still has, in my opinion, a little bit more downside. But if this indeed is the start to the bear market, or you want to say the downward trajectory, because of course, like I said, some people think the 4-year cycle no longer exists. I think there is a key level that I've already spoken to you guys about on my channel, but this should really tell you how this time around is completely different. We're going to kind of touch some on that a little bit later, but you could see we're down about 15.4% on Q4 as of now, but like I said, there's still a lot of time and a lot can still end up happening, so I'm still not writing it off just yet. But as far as the 4-year cycle is concerned, take a look at this. Where did it go? I had this thing that I wanted to show you guys. Here we are. So Hunter says, we talk about 4-year cycles, but the reality is that the model is based on the past era of crypto. Since the launch of Bitcoin's ETFs and new administration, we've entered a new market structure, new players, new dynamics, new reasons people are buying and selling. And it's not even people at this time. I would say it's more on the institutional side of things. I think there's a pretty good chance that we've been in a bear market for almost 6 months now and almost through it. The setup for crypto right now has never been stronger, and I totally agree. People talk about altcoins. Why have a lot of other altcoins that have not gone? In this case, for XRP holders, you can't really be making that statement, because XRP, in my opinion, the numbers speak for themselves, is one of the best performing assets over the last 12 months. And there are, of course, a lot of other, altcoins that never really saw that type of move, but I think it's due to what type of sentiment that we have from retail even now, because I think retail does not have the capability of having patience for the long haul. They want instant gratification. You see PNLs on X, and obviously people are talking about how they made this much, or that much off of meme coins, and this is where retail has been, I think, programmed to look at this point. And that's a big argument that could be made, but I think retail has just completely shifted from these solid utility projects to instant gratification, chasing green candles, and most of the times when you do tend to do that, you do kind of get left behind. So again, the people that are still here, sophisticated investors, and obviously institutions that are coming on board, but altcoin season, again, if you want to zoom out, we might actually be ending the 4-year cycle. A lot of people are starting to say this because, of course, yes, you could say, well, last time around we said the same thing, but yes, this time around we could make an argument that there weren't these things that are happening now for crypto, especially the regulation aspect. Obviously, Clarity Act potentially, going live. On top of that, we have ETFs. There's so much going on for crypto that was never there before. Now, you could kind of make that argument. And of course, if you were to zoom out, there's still coins that performed really good in the bull market. Yes, not in a grand scheme of things. When you look at it from the previous cycles, the crypto space was very small. There were only about 10, 20,000 coins at that point. Now there's millions of coins in this space. So it's really saturated. We can obviously make comparison to before, but the market has been very saturated, and that is something that a lot of people kind of overlook. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Again, as far as Bitcoin is concerned, I've highlighted to you guys my overall take. I still think Bitcoin has a little bit more downside because especially the fact that we're sitting below $100,000. I think Bitcoin could go down to $86,000 even. I've highlighted this to you guys before. Pretty much what I've drawn here is that we could maybe even push up to 100K, and I'm not buying it. But over this weekend, we have not really seen Bitcoin showing any signs of bullish momentum. So that is something also we want to kind of keep in mind. But take a look at this. Keep in mind that each share of an ETF represent a fixed certain amount of underlying asset. So in Canary ETF, example, it's approximately about 10 XRP per share that make one share. So which means for every one share, 10 XRP must be held to back it, and it doesn't matter what the price is, it must it must have it. So again, remember talking about XRP through the gate, as soon as it launched the ETF, it pulled insane amount of numbers. Not surprising anyone on the Crypto ZX channel because, of course, XRP is talked about quite some time. The ETFs have been talked about for such a long time, and it finally got that. And just off of one spot ETF, it pulled such crazy numbers. So over time, as you see more and more of these, institutions coming on board, these asset managers, especially the Franklin Templeton one that a lot of people are excited about. If that really comes up, and we do see more and more inflows coming in over time, and we're seeing these type of inflows coming in for XRP right now, in this market condition. So that is where I am, kind of looking very closely to. But yeah, again, when you kind of put this into perspective and you kind of look at it from, a greater scale, let's see more people come on board. What really happens to the likes of XRP then? But take a look at this. JP Morgan is actively releasing projections on the anticipated capital inflows, and XRP ETP could attract once it secures trading approval. They call it sizing up the XRP ETP opportunity, documented, as you can see for yourself, pretty much kind of talking about, what could happen, what kind of capital inflows could happen. And you can see there is this happening here, and it's pretty much charted. So moving forward, though, as far as the dates are concerned, you can see November 13th, Canary Capital, November 18th coming up. Franklin Templeton ETF, is this about to go live? This is one of the biggest asset managers out there when it comes to big institutions. So if this goes live, I think this could be quite historic. But as far as the deadline is concerned, there's a lot of those coming up. So it'll be very interesting, especially now that the government shutdown is over. Are we about to see all these getting approved? That would be obviously interesting, and obviously that would raise the bar for the inflows, because it would be coming from more of these. Maybe Franklin Templeton takes the cake because, of course, it is the biggest one out of all of these. So it'll be very interesting to see. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But as far as the dominance is concerned, 59.38%, as you can see for yourself, we have been pulling down over the past few days. Again, a good sign, but Bitcoin still showing a lot of weakness in my opinion. But I do expect, maybe we do see Bitcoin pushing up a little bit, but again, we're not buying it. Bitcoin is in this downwards trend, pretty much since hitting a new all-time high, something I don't want you guys to ignore. And I do personally still believe that, we do retest the key support line at $92,300 at the 0.50 fib zone, and obviously dropping below it opens the door for us to retest my main target. But as far as XRP price is concerned, you can see, we're pretty much in the 0.50 fib zone, replicating Bitcoin very closely, as I've stated, and XRP actually holding better than Bitcoin if I am taking into consideration at the $3 all-time high. Obviously $3.67 all-time high. Unofficial all-time high of, I'm sorry, the official all-time high. Unofficial all-time high is a little higher, of course, but we're kind of charting it based off of what we're seeing. But it is very, very positively correlated with Bitcoin's price right now. So again, I like what we're seeing here. as far as the price is concerned. Still looking not as bad as a lot of people realize. But of course, if Bitcoin were to tumble more towards the downside, we could definitely see XRP reacting as well. But that is something obviously it kind of goes unsaid. This is why we talk about Bitcoin. But again, still ranging just below the 38.2. Not bad. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. We'll see you later in Crypto ZX and peace.